You know, if you've ever tried building an AI agent to browse the web, you've probably slammed right into a huge expensive wall. You ask it to do something simple, right? Like check a price, and boom, your token count just explodes. The real problem is that the old tools, they force the AI to read the entire messy code of a web page for every single action. It's just so inefficient, it's costly, and honestly, it's a terrible way for an AI to see the world. But what if there's a better? All right, let's break this down. In this explainer, we're going to dig into a new tool from Vercel Labs called Agent Browser. We'll kick things off with the big problem it solves, then we'll look at the solution itself and get into the really clever mechanics of how it works. We'll also check out its architecture, and of course, cover what you can do with it and what its limits are. So let's get right to the heart of the issue. When an AI agent uses a standard tool like Playwright, it doesn't see a web page like we do. Oh no, it gets the entire underlying structure, the full accessibility tree. I mean, this thing is basically a map of every single element on the page, and it can run into thousands and thousands of lines of code. It's just total information overload, a huge bottleneck. Here's a good way to think about it. The old method, it's like giving an AI a gigantic, incredibly detailed satellite map to find its way around a city. Yeah, it's technically accurate, but it's completely overwhelming. The new approach, the one we're about to explore, is like handing it a clean, simple subway map instead. It just shows the important stops and how to get between them. Simple. And the result of that old way is pretty clear. For every single click or keystroke, this massive wall of text gets sent to the AI model. Now, this doesn't just cost a fortune in tokens, it actually slows down the AI's whole thinking process. People have even called it decision paralysis. The AI ends up spending way more time just trying to read the map than it does actually drive it. So how do we fix this whole mess? Well, Vercel Labs has a solution. It's a tool called Agent Browser, and it's an open source command line tool that's been designed from the ground up specifically for AI agents to interact with the web efficiently. And the results, they're absolutely staggering. I mean, we are talking about a reduction in context usage, that's the amount of info the AI has to process, by up to 93% compared to the old method. This isn't just a small tweak, you guys. This is a total game changer for the cost and the speed of AI agents. And this comparison here really makes a difference pop. With Agent Browser, the context is minimal and the setup is just a simple command. It works with any AI agent that can run basic shell commands. The old way, using something like Playwright's multi-connection protocol, or MCP, well, it's bloated, it's a pain to set up, and it has pretty limited compatibility. So how in the world does it get that incredible 93% reduction? Well, that brings us to the core innovation of Agent Browser. It's a system called Snapshot and Race. This is the secret sauce. See, instead of force-feeding the AI that entire messy web page structure, Agent Browser takes what it calls a snapshot. It scans the page and creates a clean, simple, indexed list of only the things you can actually interact with. You know, buttons, links, input fields. Everything else, it just gets ignored. So here's what that looks like in practice. It's really just 3 steps. First, the AI takes a snapshot. It gets back this tidy list. It might see, for example, that the submit button has a reference ID or a ref at E3. Then, to click it, the AI doesn't have to go hunting for the button in a sea of code. Nope, it just issues a simple command. Click at E3. It's direct, it's clean, and it's totally unambiguous. And this is why it's so powerful. The AI's process starts to feel a lot like how we as humans use the web, right? We glance at a page, we find what we want, we interact with it, and then we glance again to see what happened. This method is way more robust. Even if the website's layout changes a little bit, as long as that element is still there, its reference ID in the snapshot will probably guide the AI to the right spot. Now, making all of this work so smoothly and so quickly, that takes some pretty clever engineering. So let's take a quick peek under the hood at the tool's architecture. It's built on this really smart 3-layer system. At the top, you've got a command line interface written in Rust, which gives it lightning fast speed. In the middle, a Node.js process manages the actual browser using the super powerful and established Playwright library. And this is crucial. There's a fallback. So if for some reason that fast Rust component can't run, it just switches to a pure Node.js version, which basically guarantees compatibility. So what you get in the end is really the best of both worlds. You get the raw performance of a native language like Rust with the rock-solid browser automation and compatibility you'd expect from the massive Node.js ecosystem. Okay, so we know it's efficient, we know it's well designed, but what can you actually do with it? Let's ground this in some real-world use cases, and we'll also touch on some really important limitations you need to be aware of. The applications here are pretty broad. I mean, you can use it for automating software testing, for scraping data from websites, filling out forms over and over again, and even automating social media posts. And because it's a command line tool, it integrates beautifully with all the modern AI coding assistants out there. Now, here's probably the most important thing to keep in mind. Agent Browser is a command line tool. What that means is the AI agent you're using must be able to execute shell commands, bash commands. That is its #1 dependency. And of course, there are always risks. You have to remember that page data is being sent to a large language model, so you really need to be careful with private or sensitive information. The tool's success also really hinges on the AI's ability to understand that snapshot. So to get the best results, the advice is to use named sessions to keep your tasks separate and use the JSON output option. It's just much easier for an AI to read reliably. So to wrap this all up, what are the 4 key things to remember? First, it massively cuts token usage. Second, it makes it so much simpler for an AI to interact with the web thanks to that snapshot plus ref system. Third, it's fast and reliable because of its smart hybrid architecture. And finally, it's just incredibly easy to get started with. And this leaves us with a really fascinating final thought. A tool like this points to a potential shift in how we even think about AI on the web. Are we moving away from a world where AI has to read and interpret these super complex documents and moving toward the future where it just interacts with a clean index of possible actions? It's a really powerful idea, and tools like Agent Browser, well, they feel like the first big step in that direction.